Okay, so far everything that we've been looking at dealing with quadratic equations has been really focused around standard form, which looks like this: ax squared plus bx plus c. And then if it's an equation, it should say equals 0. Now this form makes it easy to do things like factoring and use quadratic formula, but if we want to graph a quadratic equation, this is not the easiest way to do this. There's another form that we call vertex form. And this makes it really easy for us to graph quadratic equations. Vertex form looks like this: a times the quantity x plus d squared plus e equals 0. And we'll talk about what each of these things mean when we actually get to graphing. But for now, we're going to talk about how to go from standard form to vertex form using a method called completing the square. So we're going to take a look at how to apply this method for all types of different quadratics, and you'll get a chance to practice some of these on your own. For our first example, we're going to take this equation, x squared plus 6x plus 7 equals 0, and we're going to turn it into vertex form by doing completing the square. So in order to solve this, we're going to focus on our b term. I'm going to bring down our first term and our second term and create a little space before we have our plus 7. It's kind of an outcast now because that doesn't create our perfect square trinomial that we need. What we actually need for our third term to make a perfect square trinomial is to take half of our middle term, half of 6, which is 3, and then we square it. So that's 3 squared, which is 9. Now what we have is x squared plus 6x plus 9. This is a perfect square trinomial. X plus 3, the quantity squared. Now since we added 7 on this side, added 9 on this side right here, so that I don't keep this unbalanced, I also have to subtract 9 over here. Right? Because plus 9 minus 9 is 0. So I didn't actually change the value by doing that. Set it back equal to 0. And then we can combine these terms and bring it down. So that means 7 minus 9 is minus 2. So we get x minus 3 squared minus 2 equals 0. Let's take a look at one more example. If we start off with x squared plus 8x minus 5. So the first thing we do is x squared plus 8x, and then we need our third term. Bring down our minus 5. Now remember, whatever we add here, we subtract here. Okay? So whatever we're adding, we also subtract later so that we can keep this still balanced. So we take half of 8, which is 4. 4 squared is 16. Okay? So again, we take 8, we take half of 8, and then we square it. So 4 squared gives us 16. Okay? Now since we added 16, over here we have to subtract 16. Then we can still set it all equal to 0. So x squared plus 8x plus 16, that's just x plus 4 squared. Minus 5 minus 16 is minus 21 equals 0.